Hi there! If you are tuning into this podcast, it means one of two things. Either you have no clue about managing your finances or you want to take them to the next level. Either way, we've got you covered. Financially Ever After is for the modern day Indian professional who is ready to take control of their financial journey. So let's start building your financial future one episode at a time. Welcome to Financially Ever After.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode with Medha and Ankit. Tonight, we're talking about biases. But before we get into that, who are we? If you're joining us for the first time, I'm Medha and I'm one of the co founders of WealthUp. I have with me Ankit, who is my fellow co founder. WealthUp was created to help people with planning their finances, and that's something that we are really passionate about, busting some myths, making sure that people are making the right decisions when it comes to their financial future. So, taking a step in that direction, tonight's episode is talking about biases that tend to creep in when we're making financial decisions. So, hi Ankit, how are you?
Hi, Medha, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. So we start every episode off by first talking, a little bit about like why this topic is important. So, if you can kind of shed some light on, what is irrationality in decision making, and why is it so important to hear this episode? Like, why is it, people should hear to the end.
Sure. Irrationality is essentially, just the process in which you are not making decisions based on logic or reason. But it is important to understand that the impact of irrationality on our financial decisions can cost us a lot. See, as humans, we try to reduce our cognitive load, of decision making. That is where biases come in, and with evolution, these biases have been developed because they help us, make decisions quickly. Many a times, these biases creep in without us even knowing about them, and these can be our blind spots. Now consider an example. Say you got a job in a different city and you're getting something like 20-40% kind of hike. Now few people may take this job immediately, and a few may do a pros and cons analysis. But the problem is that our biases still creep in when even you're doing this analysis. They may still creep in, and you may not be even aware of what it is being biased. Okay, so we just need to be aware of the probable biases that are there.
So essentially, the reason why this is so important is because even though we may think that we are being very logical in terms of our decision making, essentially our emotions and our biases are influencing us, and of course that means that we're probably not taking the best decision, which can get us the best return.
Absolutely.
So Ankit, can you share some examples about what this like looks like? So if you can give us some real life examples to kind of drive the point home.
Yeah, sure. So see, we talk to clients almost every day, and after talking to hundreds of clients, there are a few sort of patterns that we observe. Like one is a few people tend to overspend on financial purchases. They're not, something happened, they are feeling bored or need some dopamine effect or something, and they just go and buy just about anything that they can find online.
Yeah, I'm really guilty of this. But my impulse purchase is like, I'll book a trip to Europe or something. I mean, not to sound very like privileged, but I tend to spend on experiences. So a night out or going out is what that looks like. So it doesn't really have to be even like a phone or a laptop or something. It can just be, like going out and, just spending some money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so it can be anything based on who you are and what's your sort of getaway, be it purchases of stuff online, or gadgets or travel, or anything it can be. Others are there who invest in risky assets without fully understanding the risks that are involved.
So how is that a bias?
See, the thing is that when you have not understood the risk, you are taking that decision which is not completely thought through.
Right.
And there is something that is driving that, which is not logic.
So also it may not be aligned with what your risk appetite is.
Absolutely. So that is not a risk that you should be taking, and you still jump into it without understanding too many things. It may be just because a friend of yours is investing in it, and you are having this FOMO key. Hey man, he's investing. What if he gets it? I don't get the whatever the returns or the FOMO essentially.
Okay, so then moving on, what's next?
Other one can be, holding on to your underperforming investments for too long, because, we are like, okay, even when we understand, okay, this is this investment has not been performing. So actually we had a client, and he invested something like 12 lakhs, on his friend's recommendation. The friend was the one who was managing it. And even after some 4-5 years, the investment was at a value of 7 lakhs. Not too actually, just a couple of months back when market has been doing well, And so I asked him, okay, so why are you still holding on to it? Like, I'm just waiting for it to come back to 12 lakhs. That is when I'll sell it. People see, okay, so the 5 lakh rupee loss that is coming, but they don't understand that there is an opportunity cost. Something that has not been performing even in such a good market, what is the likelihood that it will perform going forward? I mean, if you take that 7 lakhs, probably, and reinvest somewhere else, that can perform better. So this is again a bias that you don't want to, take those losses. Similarly, on the other side, it's like the companies or the investments that are performing well, people generally tend to sell it too early. Just in terms of, you can say, greed or fear, not to lose the profit that they have already, got.
Okay, so clearly understanding irrationality in our financial decisions is essential to helping us make better financial choices, is what I understand. So, Ankit, let's now dive into some specific biases. So, I think today you're going to be talking about 5 different biases.
That's right.
So, you can walk us through that. So let's get started.
Sure. So the first one that is very common is, confirmation bias. So you generally tend to, hear and gather information, see information that sort of confirm your belief. Now, and, if there is something that doesn't align with what your belief is, you tend to ignore it. Now, there is a study that was conducted in University of Chicago, and they found that investors are more likely to read and remember news articles about, that support their own existing investment thesis. Right. And another very interesting one is that investors who are overconfident in their own, investment skills are more likely to seek out confirmation bias.
This is interesting actually because, they say that the people who are more ignorant tend to be more confident. So I'm forgetting the bias, but this is something that I had heard, like being thrown around a lot when actually Trump became the president of the US. So, but it's similar, right? So it's like if you are overconfident about your skills, then you tend to like fall for this bias more.
Absolutely. And it happens in sort of every field. It's not just specific to investments.
Right. What's the second one then?
The next one is anchoring bias. You tend to rely too much on the first piece of information you receive when you were, about to take a decision. For example, like say, if you see a listing price of a house, and the first price that you see, that is your anchoring point. Okay, for all your negotiation, all your analysis. Now, it may just be the case that the listing price may itself was too high. Okay, and you may have been able to get a better price if you negotiated well, but to start with, you anchored your thought process, or the benchmark, or the base line was based on the listing initial price that you saw. So that is another thing that affects what is right, what is wrong. The other example can be, similarly, say stock price. A stock, say if it is at 100 rupees, when you saw it first and it came down to 80, you may think that, okay, it is coming at such a cheap price. It may just be the case that it's still overpriced.
So, these examples are a little bit complex. Anything that you can, give an example which is like something that we observe in everyday life?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, it goes around almost everywhere. Like, just go out for any shopping, be it online, offline, small store, big store, anywhere. Generally speaking, you will see that there is a sort of an inflated price, and a lot of the pitch, the sales pitch will be around that, and then they'll be like, oh, you know what, we are running a special discount, and we'll give it to you at 20%, 30%, 50% discount. Now the thing is that through the entire pitch, you were anyways getting anchored to the first price. Okay, and you were trying to, and the person was trying to convince you for the first price, the initial price that was shown to you or told to you. And when he adds a sweetener, you are sort of already out of negotiating points, or the pushback key, sir or ma'am, I already sweetened the deal. I am already giving you 20%, 30% sort of discount. But that is how we make it. And you also feel yeah, man, he's already giving us such a huge discount, or believing that you're getting such a good deal, which may not actually, or in reality it may not be true, but that is how you think. So that is another bias that affects you.
Interesting. So what's the next one, the third one?
Third one is availability bias. That is essentially, it means that you give more weight to information that is very readily available to you. For example, if you have seen a lot of ads for, say, a particular phone, okay, it's very highly likely that you'll be buying that one, even if that may not be the best phone for you. Or similarly, say even for like a toothpaste, if you're seeing that very regularly, that is what you'll tend to buy. Now, there is actually a study by in University of California, UCB, and they found that investors are more likely to invest in stocks that have been featured in news. Okay, first of all, of course, many times it's like when something is featured in news, there are more people who tend to know about it. But generally speaking, even if you knew about some other stock and you've heard about it on news, you will be inclined towards investing in that particular one. Okay, so that is the availability bias. Again, something that is more probably relevant to people that we are talking about, that who are our listeners. Another study showed key investors invest in mutual funds that are more highly rated. Like, for example, mutual funds in India are given star ratings, and a lot of investors make their investment decisions based on these. But these ratings don't mean much, and MFs should be selected based on a number of other factors. I mean, I personally have looked at, and when we are doing the analysis, before we suggest mutual funds to our investors, to our clients, I see that all other analysis that we do, and if I tend to see, tend to correlate if it is making sense, if it is aligning with the these 4-star, 5-star rated funds. Many times they don't. Many times 4 or 5-star rated funds are performing badly, but people are many times not aware of. And and another thing that you might have actually noticed is, if you're going to these investment platforms and apps, and if you search for any particular category, okay, which are the top funds, and people tend to choose from there. Actually, just some time back, there was a client of mine, and she was saying, okay, she was on one of the very popular platforms, and she said, okay, so this is a very popular one of the top funds in this category, and you didn't mention about it. And I was like, no, this is not a good fund. And she was like, how can it be? It's on this platform. It's such a huge platform. Very few people know that those top slots are sold, and they may not actually show you the actual top performing funds.
So those, like when you're searching for funds, the ones that show up automatically on top, you're saying that those positions are kind of sold, kind of like in Google ads kind of a thing. You see the ad results on top.
Exactly, something similar to that. So if you go to these platforms, look for say top blue chip fund. So there'll be a list of them, top 4, top 5, top 3, whatever you get. Those slots are sold.
That's kind of unfair. They should at least write sponsored or ad or something next to them.
Again, in terms of regulation, so there are so many platforms that are offering you these, investing in direct mutual funds, right? You should also think about okay, so if they're offering you direct mutual fund, they're not charging you any commission. Where are they making money? There are so much of costs that are involved, right? The technical, all the costs associated with just developing the platform, getting the licenses, and, paying the people, a company itself needs to make money, maintenance costs. There's so many costs that are not supposed to be paid. How are they going to make money?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, what's the fourth one?
Next one is actually a very common one, which is true in various things. It's herd mentality. Generally, you tend to follow crowd when making decisions.
Oh yeah, I think herd mentality, of course, a lot of people may have already heard of because it's quite popular. But, one example is that, so I live in Bangalore, and if you live in Bangalore and you've crossed Indranagar, then you will always see a crowd outside this certain South Indian cafe, which I'm not going to name. But, pushed by FOMO, I also visited it, and I just found it to be super overrated. And then, every single person I met, I said, hey, what do you think? And they also said, ki, it's super overrated. But people still try it out. So it's like, even though it is overrated, but what is this crowd about? Sometimes I think that they've just paid people to stand outside their restaurant. But that's herd mentality.
Absolutely. So it's just, you can you're driven by FOMO. What is it that so many people are interested in, right? And another thing is like, even say there is an incident that has happened on the street, right? Maybe a small accident, or maybe, just two people are fighting. There'll be so much of crowd that will be accumulated. People have got absolutely nothing to do with it. But again, FOMO, what is happening? I need to know, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, there is a study supporting this from University of Pennsylvania, that investors are more likely to invest in mutual funds that have a large number of investors. That doesn't guarantee anything, but still people think there are so many people who have invested in it. It must be a good fund.
Ankit, I think this also happens with, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not the expert, but during IPOs, right? There are certain IPOs which have just a buzz about it and everyone is putting in money, but किसी को पता ही नहीं कि if it's a good IPO or not.
Oh, absolutely. So when people see okay, this particular IPO is 10 times, 50 times, 100 times subscribed, so they just tend to think okay, this is going to be a good IPO, so they just go for it. Interestingly, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he works in crypto, and he was telling me about so there was an IPO just a few months back from Ether. AETHER, Ether. And so a friend of his actually invested in the IPO, and he was very confident and very happy that he got the allotment. And so he was like, okay, so why did you invest in this? And then he said, this company, I just wanted to, invest in something which is into EVs, electric vehicles, and these guys, Ether makes really nice electric two-wheelers. And then he said, okay, so this Ether is not that Ether. The Ether, that company that got listed, they make chemicals, specialty chemicals. They're not even into electric vehicles. It's a completely different industry, completely different company. Just because it was the same company, the name of the company was same, without any research, people jumped in thinking it's something completely different. And just because one of the major reasons was it was again highly subscribed.
All right, and what is the last one? The fifth one?
Actually, that is again a common one: loss aversion. We are more afraid of losing something or money in this category than we are excited about making money. Now, this can also lead you to make decisions that are not in your best financial interest. There's another study actually by published in Quarterly Journal of Economics. And they found that investors are more likely to sell stocks that have gained money and, again, to hold on to stocks that have lost money. Right? And just in the hope, as just like the example that I shared earlier, just in the hope that, okay, the investment that I have made, it is going bad now, but, I'll sell it the moment it comes back to my investment price. And if it actually does, then you will be like, okay, I should be getting at least this much of return.
Yeah, so you keep holding on to it. But, I had a point, I forget, sorry.
Okay. And there is another study by Princeton, and they found that many times investors take additional risk just in order to avoid losses. Now, you are already sort of out of your comfort zone when it comes to risk. You're putting more to avoid losses. Again, this is another situation, another example, for loss aversion.
So I was just going to say on your previous point, I think people also tend to hold on to stuff because they don't like to admit that they made a mistake, right? So it's like they keep doubling down on something. So it's like just because this thing is wrong, but like I selected this, I did my research. How could I be wrong, right? And of course, there are so many factors that affect like a stock price that you just never know. But I think knowing when to quit is a very, very important thing.
Oh, absolutely. And see, irrespective of how amazing an investor you are, I mean, today Warren Buffett is considered to be the best investor today, and he very openly admits that he has also made a number of mistakes, investment mistakes. And no matter how good or bad you are, you will be making mistakes. So you just need to be, partly be humble enough to accept that, okay, I made a mistake. So just accept it and move on from there.
Okay, so we talked about the 5 biases. Now let's move into, okay, what do we do about it, right? So knowing about the bias is one thing, but how do we actually take that step or action towards not letting these biases affect our decisions?
Sure. See, first step in any problem is identifying that problem, right? So if biases exist, you should check out, if you can identify the biases. And how do you do this? You can, identify your own tendencies, while you make a decision. So think about any big decision that you might have taken in last 1 year, or a small decision, but an important decision that you might have taken in last 1 week or 1 month. And think about how is it that you made that decision, and evaluate that decision, the result of that decision, if it was right or wrong. Okay. There's a problem here though, that biases, as I mentioned earlier, biases can be your blind spot. So it may not be very easy to, identify these. And that is when you can see, seeking a second opinion, because the second opinion will be looking at the situation from a completely objective perspective, and that can help you. And like for example, a lot of people come to us for second opinion on their investments, and it became actually so common that so many people started talking to us or asking us about this, that we built a tool wherein you can just upload your CAS, the combined account statements, an email. It's a document that you get in an email every month, and just upload it, put in the password, which is your PAN, and in 30 odd seconds it will do the analysis, and it'll tell you what is good and what is bad. And if there is a big portion of your portfolio which is bad, or which is underperforming, these people tend to talk to us, and we help them out in building a completely a good portfolio that is made of good highly performing or outperforming funds.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you here. So if you are interested in checking out the Portfolio Analyzer tool, it's on our website. It's completely free. www.wealthup.me, or you can just go to Ankit and my LinkedIn profiles, and you will find it. You'll find how to get to it. But yes, please continue.
Sure. This is on the identifying the biases and second opinion that can help with that. Another problem is that there is too much information out there. If you search online, there are so many influencers, so many media content and whatnot. And these are, many a times contradicting each other. Now, which one is right for you? It's difficult to understand, right? And particularly if you're not coming from the background of finance, it can be around pinta.
Yeah, the influencers are really persuasive though, right? And then later on, like, of course, we saw some examples. I'm not going to take names, but there were a couple of them that took commissions and, suggested a couple of a particular crypto company, and then that company went bust. Yeah, it was Vault. But the thing is that now I think because of SEBI's new rule, they're not allowed to take kickbacks or commissions. But still, the thing is that they are so persuasive in the way that they talk, and, of course, very charismatic, that it's easy to be swayed, and you tend to stop asking questions, which I think is very dangerous.
Yeah, again, this can, when we were talking
And by the way, none of these guys are experts. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah, definitely. They generally don't have any licenses. Many times they don't have any background, and still they are, proposing these products and whatnot. Now, what I was saying is that earlier we were mentioning about impulsive purchases, right? Now, these, what you were saying, Medha, these can be impulsive investments. Again, just as impulsive purchases, these can be equally bad. Now, these can be worse because when you are just, buying, making a, purchase, just impulsive purchase, you'll probably, spend something like 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 type of number. But when it comes to investments, there can be a difference in the order of magnitude. So instead of say you were spending just like 5,000, 10,000 in buying a product just like that on an impulsive purchase. But when it comes to investments, it won't be 5,000, 10,000. When you're making that investment, it will probably be 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs. So there will be difference in the order of magnitude, and that can have a huge impact, right? Now, when it comes to something like this that you have been suggested, or that you have say read online, just even if you're convinced that it is a good one, just challenge that existing belief or existing thought that you have. Is it right? Think about it. Do more research. And if you see if everyone is saying it is right, okay, you may still be very much convinced. Just be, if needed, do an independent search, do a pros and cons analysis. If you can't do it, feel free to reach out to an expert. Okay, and we help our clients with this too. Many a times, we had a client actually. He was thinking of investing in a farmland, lock-in period of something like 20 odd years and whatnot. And very young guy, sort of started earning just 2-3 years back, and he didn't even have a lot of investments as such. So before you go into real estate with such a long lock-in and illiquidity, it's important that you have already built a good portfolio that can support you if something, if you need money in a situation. And so he came to me, and then he was asking about it, and I told him that it doesn't look like a good idea. And he was saying, they are suggesting that the returns will be very good, close to 18%, 20% in the long run, and I just need to wait for 15 years and blah blah blah. And I was like, first of all, 15% guaranteed return is something not that can be offered, because if they are guaranteeing it 15 plus return, it's something is not right, because guaranteeing that kind of return is very unlikely. Okay. Secondly, his rest of the portfolio didn't support it. So we had a discussion, like multiple discussions, and then he was convinced that, okay, this is not the right time to invest in that. So we have people with that as well. And the another way that you can do is, about this is just create a plan and stick to it. Review it from time to time, but don't get swayed, very easily. And you have just made a plan, and as soon as you come across something, you jump onto it. That shouldn't be the case. Okay, this will help you, avoid making those impulsive decisions, just based on emotions, biases, and etc. And just as an example, consider a diet plan, right? When you have it, you can stick to it, and if you do, that is when you'll see real results. And but when you have a plan, it'll you can try to be more disciplined, and you can it'll be relatively easier to avoid those temptations to eat just any random thing, which of course may not align to your fitness goal.
Okay, thanks, Ankit. That was really, really helpful. All right, so actually that brings us towards the end of the talk tonight. Very quickly, let me summarize what we spoke about. So biases are essentially cognitive shortcuts that help us make quicker decisions, but will lead to irrational decision making when it comes to finances, which is not good. Some common biases that we spoke about: confirmation bias, anchoring bias, availability bias, herd mentality, and loss aversion. And finally, only by understanding these biases, identifying them in ourselves, and getting a second opinion when we feel we need it, can we make more rational and profitable investment decisions. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You summed it up very well, Meeta.
Perfect. So thank you all for joining in. We're not taking any questions today, but we don't take questions in the during the live event. We will be having a Q&A session with our WhatsApp community after this event. If you are interested in joining the community, it's called Financial Freedom Circle, where it's a bunch of highly motivated people who are all working towards reaching financial freedom. And if you want to join, or if you want to be a part of it, then you can go to either my or Ankit's LinkedIn profile, and you'll find the link to join. It is an exclusive community, so we do vet every single person before they can enter it, just to ensure that the quality of conversations is very high level, and we do a lot of activities with our members. So Q&A sessions, contests, specific content that is only for the group members. Sorry, were you saying something?
And occasionally events.
Yeah, and occasionally events. We want to start doing more offline events as well. So that's something to look forward to. So yeah, that's it. And do check out Wealth Up if you're interested, and subscribe to our Spotify podcast if you want to be alerted about new episodes. I think that's about it. Thank you all for listening. Ankit, last words from you.
No, thank you everyone. Thanks Medha. Thanks for joining in, and we'll be talking. I'll be happy to answer the questions if you have any on the WhatsApp community.
Thank you and good night.